Thank you so very much, and a warm welcome to you. This is Enterprise Friday, reaching you from Enterprise Television. We are from the economic capital of Nigeria, Lagos. Today we'll be starting off with our newspaper headlines like we often do, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. But please do well to be part of our community, have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us, obviously, at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. We're very honored to have with us, joining us via Zoom from Saitama in Japan, John Akerele. He is a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, John, and welcome.
Good morning to you. Good morning to our viewers. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. How is Saitama today? It's still snow. It's still snowy there also. Oh, okay, beautiful. All right. So, welcome once more. So, let's start with our newspaper headlines and see all that we have. We're starting off actually from the Vanguard newspaper today. And the big story here, tax bills. Government offers new formula for sharing VAT proceeds. And also on the very top strip here, we have crude oil prices will dictate petrol pump cost, and that's coming from Lopobiri. For some time now, Nigerians have been excited that the price of PMS has reduced to 930, and now they're saying it can no longer be sustainable, that the price of fuel will be determined by the crude price. But let's take a look at this particular issue, Mr. Akerele, and that is on the federal government to Emir Sanusi. We don't need your approval for Tinubu's laudable policies. Is this a form of hating on the emir, because of course he is not speaking what they would love to hear?
I think most of the time as Nigerians, when we hear some statements, we tend to politicize every statement without looking at the message itself. Most of the time, even people like us, when we speak, we are targeted or labeled as opposition. Instead of labeling us as opposition, why not look at what we're speaking, the facts we're speaking to, the reality of what we're speaking to? Now, if I do not agree with you on your own line of thoughts, doesn't make me an enemy of yourself or your policies. It just shows that I'm giving you a better argument on how things can be done better. And I think some Nigerians need to understand that constructive criticism is part of our democracy, and that if truly our democracy would evolve, then we must, have a room for criticism that can help us to be on our toes. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a win-win for everybody. The incumbent government force can really reap the dividends of democracy that we have promised Nigerians. So for me, either you speak from one side or the other side of your mouth, you still get to have a back from the presidency. In as much as it's not in line or supporting their own line of thought, then I think that's what has been happening. Because if you look at the Emir Sanusi now, there have been some issues, and before now, he has been speaking about policies of the government. Anytime he speaks well of the policies of the government, we say, yes, that's our Emir.
Exactly.
When he speaks against the policies of the government, he's no longer our Emir. So I think that's just the tone of this administration. Anything that supports them, they hail. If you don't support them, they gaslight you and give you names. And I think that's what has happened in the case of Sanusi on this particular issue. Yeah,
it's very, very true, because I remember, at the beginning of this administration, Sanusi spoke well about the subsidy. And of course, the government, lauded him and said all great things about him. But it seems to us right now that the center can no longer hold. Sanusi felt that the federal government are the ones behind his removal, actually, from the emirship, and that back and forth is always there. But speak to us on this particular matter. It's very sad to say this, but it's making headline on the Vanguard newspaper, how hardship drives some Nigerians to look for food in garbage. Now, I don't want to exaggerate this, Mr. John Akerele. For some of us living in Nigeria, this is the most commonest thing we see around. We've never seen it or had it this bad. Right now, Nigerians are scavengers, literally going from one dust bin to another, looking for any available thing they can go home with. Speak to us on this particular matter, please.
I can't agree with you less on this issue, even though I'm not in Nigeria at the moment, but I'm in Nigeria every day. Why? Because I have conversations with people back home, I have friends and colleagues back home, and we keep in touch on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, I keep up even with daily happenings in Nigeria, and so I'm abreast with the present realities on ground as to the effect of inflation and the buying power of the people. I said to people that carefully listen, if there be inflation, look at your minimum wage. And that minimum wage, point of correction, is minimum salary, not wage. Wage is paid in some places daily, some weekly. But in our own case, it's monthly. So let's stop saying minimum wage. Let's say minimum salary is 70,000 naira. Now, the truth of the matter is, when you look at the cost of transportation alone, from Ikorodu to K2 will take you nothing less than 1,200, 2,143. What is to be like 200 naira before? And so, these are the present day reality that the people are facing on a daily basis. And so the 70,000 naira minimum salary cannot even take them to and fro to work for a whole month. How much more feeding? And so if people, go to become scavengers for food, that will show you the dexterity and the seriousness of the case at hand. And that's why people are just looking for every means for them to get the food that they can get and eat. And so what I think the government should look at again is to see that when we bring up policy at times, and then we listen as feedback mechanism from the people, is this policy working for them? If it's not working for them, how can we tweak it? How can we engage people more? What are the things that we can do to make sure that the effect of this inflation and this policy, is reduced on the people? And what can we do? One is to subsidize transportation solely. Two is to make sure that there is food security and that people have alternatives. All right? Now, if you cannot buy your rice, you can go for your spaghetti. But the thing is, how much is a pack of spaghetti now? How much is a tuber of yam in my 12 market? These are the things that people used to buy before, but they cannot buy now. How much is a liter of groundnut oil? How much is it now? How much was it before? How much is it now? So these are the indexes and day-to-day that people are going through. And that's why I said to you, that for me is not that you're exaggerating. That actually is the truth of the matter. But the bitter truth again is that the powers that be are actually disconnected from the people. They do not feel that. So when you come on front like this and say things like this, they say you're not in Nigeria, so you're feeling it. But the thing is that our leaders are far from their reality. I can say that boldly to anybody that cares to listen. They are far from the reality, from the president to the vice president to the governors, even to the local government chairman. It will amaze you that the local government chairman of a particular local government does not even reside in the local government where he's the chairman of. And that will tell you that at the minimum level, if there's that disconnect, then you can tell yourself. So if there's no light in the street, they don't know why they don't live among the people, and they cannot feel the answer. What about those who say that they are representative? A councillor who represents a ward, which is about condition about 3 to 5 streets, does not stay in that ward. He stays in a different place. Why? Because he feels he has more money representing the people. Now the question he asks himself is he representing the people or representing himself or the powers that be? So these are the fundamental questions that we should ask ourselves as Nigerians. And as a responsive leadership, as a responsive government, is to listen to what the people are saying, listen to the cry of those who are crying in the wilderness, and look for things that we can do. Now, we have bring in fuel subsidy. It has come to stay, no problem. We have saved more money from fuel subsidy, no problem. How come that the average Nigerian do not feel the effect of fuel subsidy? I think in a normal sense, if you say that there is more money, they should feel it in the house.
Very true.
If you as a father, you have an increment in your salary from 70,000 to 140,000 naira. And when you come back home, your wife should feel that there's an increase in the amount you give for food on a monthly basis. In this case, you have increased salary, but then the amount you have for food has not increased, and the price of food has increased. And so in that case, that is the case of we as Nigerians, our political leaders. That's where we are. We have increased allocation, we have increased revenue to states and local government, but this increase in allocation, increase in revenue, does not trickle down to the grassroots and to the daily activities of people. And so it does not affect the price of food, it does not affect the price of transportation. And so you ask yourself, why not leave subsidy the way it is rather than removing it? And so I think what the government should do is to look at from the federal to the state and local government, how this money is being spent. And I think we should give kudos to this administration. On one note, and the note is the fact that that they have given local government autonomy, that each local government cannot get an application from the federal government directly to them, and then they can make their money better. Now, the ball is now in the court of every Nigerian. All your councillors are accountable. How do you do that? You go to your ward meetings, there are about 4, 5, 6, 7 streets, and make up your ward. You have a councillor, know who your councillor is, get his phone number, and then from that you can start asking questions. And when there's a budget to be passed, ask your councillor to get you a copy of the budget of the local government, so I can see how much is budgeted for education in your local government, how much is budgeted for health, how many primary health centers do you have in your local government, how many primary schools, public schools do you have? What is the plan of the government and the local government for your local government people? These are the questions that Nigerians must continue to ask and engage at the local government level. By so doing, it will move up to that, to the governorship, and then to the federal level. And I think we are still on a good track as Nigerians.
Very so profound. You know, these were experiences that Nigerians had during the regional government in Nigeria. At that point, the southwest, the northeast, the north part of Nigeria all had all of this put together and lead to, and why we saw all the great development that happened, you know, during those times. But unfortunately, today we still do not see some of those. But let's get to the Guardian newspaper. I'd love you to speak to this particular matter. It made the big story here. War against terrorism. Caught in the middle. Survivors count cost of accidental air strikes. Mr. John, I would love to let you know that we have so many Nigerians die as a result of collateral damages than those really who should be killed for whatever, you know, nefarious activities that they carry out. Every now and then, especially in the northeast of Nigeria, we have, you know, the military, you know, throw or drop some bomb, you know, and lots of people die. A majority of them are innocent people. I would love you to speak to this matter. Is this a question of lack of intelligence on the part of our military, or is it maybe a try and lock, you know, issue? Let's just try it and see and hope that it kills the bad guys.
Okay, so let's start from this angle. First, my heart goes out to all the families that lost their loved ones in this, you know, accidental airstrike attack. And I send my condolences to this family, and I wish and I pray that they have the fortitude to bear this loss. Having said that, let's go to the, you know, the pain of contention here. That was a misfire according to the military. But this is what I think we should learn. Nigeria has become a country that we don't learn from our mistakes. And mistakes, when made, are for you to prevent future occurrences. This is one too many. Misfire today and misfire tomorrow. And so what I see from that angle is the fact that there is no proper intelligence and coordination. Because if all of these agencies are working together, for a fact, the Air Force, you know, are there in the airspace. And so for you to see what is on ground, you need to have somebody on ground who will give you the info. And so I think in that place, there is no synchronization between those in the air and those on the ground. And that is where that miscommunication is. And that miscommunication has led to the loss of life. Now, for the aircraft that was in the airspace, seeing people, you know, moving in drones, on bikes, having guns. So that kind of fighter, he feels these are the target and then he should launch an attack straight away. On the other hand, those people the pilot saw are, you know, vigilante members who are also going to the scene to help people who are under attack. And so both the Air Force in the air and the vigilante groups on the land are on the same mission. But the sad truth is that they do not have that communication to know that, hey guys, we are partners in progress. If I know you're my partner, why should I gun you down? And so that's why I said that was an accident. However, it has shown to us that there's a loophole in intelligence gathering and coordination, and also communication is lacking. And so that is what I think the military should do. But on this part again, let's give kudos to our military personnel. They've been doing a wonderful job in the northwest and northeastern part of Nigeria. And this, is just one of those things that they should look into so that future occurrences can be avoided and we can save more lives rather than killing them.
Very, very true. But don't you think at the same time it's very deplorable, to imagine that Nigeria is not at war with another country, but we've lost more soldiers than if we were to go to war with another country. The 15th of January, just 2 days back, was Armed Forces Remembrance Day. And in Nigeria, it has just become more ceremonial. They just come, host it, lay their wreaths, and wait for another year to still have the same thing. Speak to us on this particular matter. You did congratulate the military and the armed forces for doing an awesome job. But a situation where they lay their lives for us and they don't get the recognition of the government. Tell us, how do you think this will motivate patriotism by others who wish to join in the future?
I think I will not only speak to the military leadership, but rather I will speak to the leadership of Nigeria as a whole. And that is what you get when the wounded among you, is not celebrated. Because it's from that celebration, you are showing the younger generation, you are showing the younger officers that if you go to this extent of showing your loyalty to your country, these are the things that await you. How come you see in a Senate clan, when we lose a soldier, the family, they feel proud that our son died for the cause of upholding the peace of our country, and those families will never regret, having lost their lost one. But in our own case, there are too many stories of our fallen soldiers whose families have been neglected. There are so many of them whose gratuity and pension have not been paid. There are so many of them whose families, have just had lip service promises. Oh, we'll do this, and after a while, they just fade away. So if you do a survey today and ask that some of those people who are fallen heroes that we are laying reds for, what about their family members? What is the state of the family members? Will a son of a late soldier be motivated to say, I want to take the shoe of my father and go into the military? Will they say that in the country today? I was watching a video, some days ago of a military officer that was, promoted, and one of his hands is amputated. And I was asking myself, how much will it cost us to get in, a plastic hand, a prosthetic hand?
A prosthetic, yeah.
Will you say that is too much for the Nigerian military to take care of?
Very well.
And so these are some of the issues that we must point out, even when we praise them that they are doing a good job. But then, when you do a good job, it means that you need to do better. And so when they don't do well also, we point out those facts and tell them, hey guys, you're doing a good job, but in this area, there are amendments that we should be made if truly we want to be the giants of Africa that we call ourselves.
Very true. Very, very so true. And little wonder you see Nigerians in droves. And most importantly, celebrities in Nigeria, non-celebrities in Nigeria, going to the United States and enrolling themselves into the United States military. And of course, you know what comes with it. Citizenship, welfare, and so many other things. And they don't actually serve more than maybe 4 or 5 years and they come out of it. And this is an example I think we should borrow from all other countries. We have the money here, but unfortunately, we do not know how to utilize it for those people that need it, unfortunately. Thank you so very much, John Akirele, for being here. And just to let you know, it's a promise, actually. John will be here to take us on our main conversation, so don't go anywhere. When we return, Rivers PDP Secretariat barricaded by police in leadership dispute. That is in a bit, please. I'll be right back.